Hello, everyone. Welcome to FIRST Alumni podcast. I'm Kuzey.
And I'm Irving.
Welcome, Irving. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to be here. I really like always being in projects relating to the FIRST community, and especially from one of my best friends around the globe, talking about FRC, that is Golden Horn, which is a team that I really admire, and I really like hanging out with them.
That's awesome. We're very happy to hear that. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Well, my name is Irving Daniel de Leon Vallejo. So that's my full name. Everybody calls me Irving, especially in the FRC world. I am alumni from Team 3794 Winty from Metepec, Mexico, but currently I am mentoring four FRC teams.
Awesome. And you're currently a university student, is that right? What
Yeah,
university are you studying at?
I am studying at the Universidad del Valle de Mexico. I'm studying international relations. Yeah, nothing related to STEM, but I do like to do my stuff in university related to STEM.
Awesome. So, how has FIRST and FRC impacted you in your career path right now or your university career?
Well, in
Would you
my
say that
career,
it had an
I would
impact?
say, yeah, it has had an incredible impact. I chose my career before I started in FIRST. Probably I started in FIRST 15 years ago, but I do not remember anything about it because I was in an FLL team and I was 5 years old, so I don't remember practically anything. Then I got lost till 10 years later. When I was 15, I got in my team. And before that, I already had decided that I wanted to be an internationalist. I wanted to study international relations. But right now, like my focus is on how technology and the development of technology has an effect on political relationships between the nations of the world, on how one nation that controls or has a better development upon technology, it could be civilian technology or military technology, has the power to be to be the powerful nation in the region or in the whole world. Like is this the case of the United States?
Right. And how has being a member of an FRC team impacted you? Would you say that being like a team player and competing in all these competitions also shaped you or gave you, introduced you to some aspects of yourself that you didn't know before?
Oh yeah, first competitions really changed me a lot. Like when I started, I was really shy, like totally shy. My first competition, it was in 2019, and I didn't make any friends at that competition because I was really shy. I was working a lot in the chairman's presentation because I'm a business guy. I never did anything related to a robot. I've always been like focused on business projects and everything. And I was like shy. But then after the championship of that year, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I want to make friends everywhere. And well, that thing has paid off well all my career in FRC that I don't want to say it, but mostly everybody in Mexico, well, most of the teams know an Irving, which is me. And it's kind of fun, like whenever somebody that knows me and somebody else that knows me meet each other, and it's like, you know Irving? Yes, I know Irving. And it's like they start chatting about it, and that's really fun. Also, they have made me very aware of my work and also very aware of my time because FRC competitions take a lot of time and at school I usually tend to leave everything at the end after a competitions. We usually had permission to do all our stuff after the competition, and it was a really hard work, doing essays, exams, and calculations and everything after the competition. And I learned how to work in a competition and also before the competitions, how to handle my time, which is a thing that most people in FRC needs to understand, how to handle their time, their normal life and their FRC life, because sometimes it's the same.
Well, as a successful FRC graduate, what advice, if any, do you have for those of us who are currently actively involved in FRC?
For those who are about to graduate or are in the verge of it, I would say that keep always pursuing your dream, keep always pursuing what do you want to achieve, but always take into consideration that not And that's a sad reality. And not always your team is going to value enough. And that's a really sad thing that most of the time the teams do not value you enough for your time, for your service, for the time that you were in the team. Sometimes they just like kick you out like you were nobody. And it's really sad. And also that they do not consider, getting out of the team as the end. Like probably university didn't get them enough time, or probably they had a problem with somebody in the team and they got out of it. They do not think that that's the end, because you can be a volunteer, you can be a mentor in another team, you can work by first, or you can work for first in different manners. Like you can do whatever you want and you can impact the lives of the people. Like you just keep on pursuing that goal, impact the people's life. And whatever is your career, medicine, engineering, sciences, social sciences, history, or whatever career do you want to choose, you can impact people's life in a way that first does.
I see. Yeah, definitely. As you said, the team experience, the team dynamics really shape your FRC experience as well. But you could always be a part of the mission and rhetoric of first through different mediums, like you said, volunteering, etc. That's awesome. Well, do you have any fond memories from FRC that you like to share with us?
I have a lot. I have one that has been for me the life-changing one. It was 2018. It was the first championship that I was there. The travel was crazy because we lost our plane, we lost our flight, we lost everything was lost at the airport. Like we said, like we are not going to arrive to Houston, and I was devastated. And then we arrived to Houston, and then there was a problem with the bands, and then our airline, I think they lost one of the packages that was really important for the impact presentation. Well,
Oh
chairman's
no.
then. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was like, what we are going to do? We were like crazy. And I remember that travel really paid off because one of the teams that were really close from our booth, I don't remember which division we were on that year, but there was one team that was really close that I really got interested in talking with, Robonáticos. And I talked with them just like somebody else. My mentor, well, my main mentors, which is Marce, took me like, hey, let's talk with this team that is from Brazil. And he took me like, I didn't want it to, but he took me like, come on, go ahead, let's talk with with them. And we really got along really well. And it is crazy how 3 years later I became a mentor from Robonáticos. Like didn't knowing about that I was going to be part of the team. I just met them at Houston, like, oh, this is a good chance of making friends. And it was not a chance of making friends, it was a chance of being a mentor for a new team.
And we at Goldman surely love Robonáticos. They're a great
Yeah,
team.
of course. It's my those kiddos have really changed, especially last year that I started working with them really made a bigger impact in my life, and being with them at the competitions, like they're really special, and that's one of the things that really makes me proud of them. Well, I'm really proud of them.
Yeah. Well, as you described in your memory, FRC can make someone go through a lot of stress, although overall it's a net positive. How did you stay motivated during all this robot building, PR processes, all these stressful experiences? What kept you going with FRC?
It was complicated. Like I always like to talk about my first season because it was the one that got fully developed, because my second season was in pandemic and my third season was in pandemic, so I didn't got like a lot to do. But in my first season it was like really complicated because it was my first year at high school. I needed to do good grades, but I also wanted to do good at the competition. So I was like, think about how many lives you can change with this and keep on pursuing that goal. Like always think on how much impact can you make, and that's the thing that always keeps me going. Like I remember lots of projects when I was, well, a student and participant. that I really like. I remember one in pandemic that I did. It was like a project with, and that's one of the things that really kept me going in pandemic. The projects that we did in pandemic, it was one like it was some antibacterial gel dispenser or something like that that I designed or took the idea somewhere, I don't remember where, and we started building in my house to spread it in factories, in schools, in public spaces where people really needed those artifacts or they really need the distribution of antibacterial gel. And I was motivated by that, the impact that I'm making, even though I'm in my house, even though I'm not feeling very well in pandemic, that goal has always like keep me going.
Yeah, that's impressive. Hand sanitizers were certainly a huge part of the pandemic. It's
Yeah,
nice that you were
it was
proactive like that.
called Hands in Hands. I think I remember. It's been a while
Oh,
since I talk about the project, but yeah, I think it was like
yeah.
that.
Well, what are some changes that you have observed in yourself during your time in the FRC team? Are there any
Oof,
characteristics that
of
you say
course.
you improved?
The main one would be my self-confidence because as I was telling you, I was really shy of making friends. I was really shy of at school, people really didn't like us. We were the outsiders. They even had a nickname. It was really bad. Like in Spanish, it's a very heavy word that they were using with us. And it was not good. The people at school were just like ignoring us. And then when I got into FRC, it was like amazing, to see these people like we share the same things, even though we like other things. Some people like some other type of music or other type of films. We have something in common that really unite us. That is robots, and that was really amazing. That's something that I really loved, and that's something that I see myself. That when I started high school, I just had like three friends, and when I finished, I would say I had like 30 friends from around Mexico, especially like in different campuses because we made projects. And there are friends that really to this day I still talk to with them. It's not just like a friend from a regional. No, there are like lots of friends that have stayed with me from a long time. And whenever I see them in competitions, it's like, hey, hello, how are you? And it's really great. And the confidence about myself, that's the thing that I will really say thanks to FIRST that has really put into me because it gave me the confidence to keep on pursuing my ideals, my my goals, and especially what I wanted to do in an FRC team and how do I want it to be, especially being a mentor.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Certainly, first has a lot of positives. So, if you had to pick one, what's the best thing that first has ever given you?
Oh, that's complicated. I would say, well, taking aside the things that I have already told you, but especially the friends that I have, because my best friends in the whole world are in FRC. I can relate to my best friend. We were in the same team. We are just like 1 year. I'm 1 year older. So when she entered the team, we were like really good friends. We did a lot of things when we were in the team, and nowadays we're still hang out with each other. Like after all this time, we have seen. She invites me to her birthdays. We see at some competitions. We do some other stuff together, and that's the best thing that I could say, like the friendships that they gave me, because there are friends like from different parts of Mexico that are like thousands of kilometers away from me, and every time that it's like we talk with like we know from all of our lives. Like we have known each other since we were kids, or that we study in the same school. Like the friendships at FRC are really different, and that's the best things that I have given to me. Having the best friends in the world.
Well, leaving the positives aside for a while, do you have any regrets about your
Oh,
time
I
at
do have.
FRC?
Oh, I do have a lot of them. Especially my biggest regret is to having competed in pandemic. Uh, I understand that first try to do the best to make the competition better in pandemic, but it was not the same. It was just chaotic. I didn't enjoy it, and that would be my, well, the regret that I have the most, that I didn't enjoy enough my last regional at that time. That was Monterrey 2020, that we won an engineering inspiration award, and I was like going nuts, going crazy at that competition. Everybody was like, congrats, and it was crazy, that regional, and I didn't enjoy it enough. Also the championship from 2019, because I told you about the things about the travel, and those things really didn't make our travel feel really, really comfortable. And also because I didn't got along really well with one of the kids that was in the team that season. So I didn't enjoy, because I was with him all the travel. So, when you don't like somebody, it's like sometimes it ruins all your day. And what we can do? He was in the team. He was a really important part of the the robot part. So what could I say?
Yeah, I mean, it happens, you know. Yeah, that's almost inevitable. I mean, not everybody has to get along, but it's nice that you found common ground. And I mean, first really does bring a lot of people from different backgrounds together, or like different interests, different personality types. So I think that's what brilliant about the FRC. Well, speaking of all of these different aspects of the competition, here's a classic question. If you had to define FRC in a few words, how would you do it?
In a single, well, that's always complicated. I always like to use the word life changing,
Well,
because it is life changing. Not just like me. There are many stories around the globe on how FIRST has shaped them into being, most of the time, in an engineering. That's a classic story, that it has pursued me to being an engineering, to break the barriers and everything. And that's some wonderful stories. But there are also stories that help them through difficult times, through probably some family trouble, and the FRC team carried them through those difficult times. And that's a story that I have heard about many friends or many people around the FRC world. So it would be life changing, because it is. And another one that well, it's not a word, but I always like to say, when you enter to FIRST, you cannot get out of it, because it is true. Even though you were alumni 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 20 years ago, you still remember your team, and you still remember FRC. And whenever you see a robot of Lego, or a team presenting, or a team in a competition, it's like, I remember that team. I was in that team, and the people really cheer up. And those kids that were probably in FLL, now they are volunteers, now they are coaches, now they are mentors in another team from another category that has nothing to do with their main category. So it's like, this is your life now.
yeah. Well, we all know that FIRST is more than robots, but robots are also a huge part of it. So, I mean, speaking of robots, what do you think about the future of robotics? Let's start with a broad question.
Oh, that's tough one. Robotics has been shaping a lot since, I always like to recall Isaac Asimov and his three laws of robotics. He always thought that robots
Oh,
were
yeah.
going to another way. And I can see him, like, imagine him right now, what we are living with robotics. He can be like, I didn't imagine this. Like, I couldn't even imagine what we are living with robotics. And robotics will be always a business, that's for sure, because it's in engineering. It's one of the biggest industries in the whole world. Robotics can take a part of your life like you couldn't see it. For example, the Roombas are robotics. I forgot the word in English, sorry. Vacuum cleaners. They are vacuum cleaners, but they're
Yeah.
robotics. Like, how could you think of that? Like, we always thought like vacuum cleaning ourselves, not with a robot. Like, how robotics could reach that extent? It's unimaginable. And also, for example, with Lego. I don't know if you know that the idea of Lego Mindstorms became from an MIT professor, and the people at Lego saw, and hey, this could be fun. The first idea was this could be fun, but now the idea is this could be profitable, and this could change lives. That's the way of FRC. Well, FLL. Yeah, robotics has shaped a lot, and I think in the next 20 years, not 20, 10 years, we are going to see us as the young ones, like how this has changed a lot. Like I didn't imagine this was going to happen because the future is always shaping and we cannot, well, and also the future is not written. That's one thing that is for sure. So the future will be making itself by the decision of everybody else and our own decisions. So it will be something that we are not aware of or we are not in control of it.
Yeah. Also, nowadays, people put a lot of emphasis on robotics or programming and stuff like that. So, in your opinion, at what stage should children start learning about these things, or maybe start with robotics?
Well, I would say since they have interest into it. That's one of the things that I was really talking with my mother yesterday. That when, in my case, she couldn't oblige me to do something because I was not going to do it. So whenever I had the interest into doing something, that would be the right time, like when the kid has the interest into do it. Because I had interest at 5 year olds of participating in FLL, but I didn't like it because I didn't have friends. Like the robot was a little bit too much for me at that time. So it was not my time. And I got my time at 15 years old, which is not at all. But most people say like you started late. No, I started at my time. There is not like a time for everybody else. But if it could be, I would say at the last stage of kindergarten, primary school, that switch between 5, 6, 7 years old. That is when the kids start developing their interests and what they like. That's one of the main parts of human development. I would say when you are 5, 6, or 7, you decide what you're like, and that's something that will stay for your forever.
Sure, certainly. And as we all know, FIRST has a lot of values, and throughout the experience, a lot of values are instilled in us, and it's like a team process. It's like a teamwork. You have to be able to collaborate with a team. So, of course, personal characteristics and personality plays a large role in all of this as well. So, how would you say a first competitor or like a first student, FRC student, should be acting? Like you mentioned that you didn't get along with some people because of their personality during FRC. What, in your opinion, are some personal qualities that an FRC student should aspire to?
We need to be humble. That's one of the main things
Oh,
that
yes.
everybody else has, and that's one of the things that I still recall when I was at my first competition, it was my first time. I was like showing off a little bit too much. And then one of my mentors talked to me like, yeah, we need to be this way because and because and because. And then I experienced it, when a team was like showing us, showing off to us that we didn't get elected into the alliance election. And it was like, yeah, we need to be humble. We need to be humble enough to be gentle to help everybody else in the team or in the world. Not We need to be humble in a way that probably we have won. Imagine a team that has won 7 chairmans, but whenever a team asks for help, they do not come in to help. They do not get aid by them. Imagine that, a team that has won 7 chairmans and do not help other teams, like it doesn't make sense to me. Like, yeah, we need to be humble with everybody else and also within your team. Like, we can show off at our competition that, yeah, we won certain prize and we're really happy. But let's not forget that there will be some time we are not going to win. And that's a quote that I really like from, well, another of my interests is Formula One. And one of my favorite race drivers is Niki Lauda. And he has always said, I have learned more from losing than from winning. And that's for sure. And that's one of the things that being humble gives you. The ability to learn of your mistakes and to learn what has been done wrong that could have changed the impact of the team. And that's one of the things that there's a story that everybody calls it the Irving's trauma with the Judges Award. Yeah, I know it's funny, but I don't. Personally, the Judges Award and I were not like really friends because at my first competition, I presented the Chairman's Award 2018. The judges said that it was the best impact award that they have seen in a whole time. That it was so fluently, so beautiful. But then they told us that the reason that we are not winning that prize is because of the robot. Because the robot, it was one of the worst ones. It didn't move. It broke a lot, and there was lots of problems with it. And the kids of the robot thought that it was my fault then because I was a rookie presenting the impact. And I said, "Yeah, we lost because of Irving. We lost because we lost because you didn't do it enough." And I was not able to tell them anything because the thing that the judges told us was a secret. So it was like I needed to show those kids of the robot part that it was not my fault. And yeah, we did. We won the Chairman's Award in our regional. So
Yeah, I see. A lot of our viewers are FRC students, and perhaps their parents, some teachers, some mentors. What advice, or is there anything that you'd like to say before we end this podcast?
okay, for the mentors and the coaches, is never never stop learning. Like there are mentors that think, yeah, I know everybody, or I know everything. I know everything how to do the things, but they do not know how to translate that thing into knowledge for the kids. So be always open-minded, be always with a curious mind. That's one of the things that I learned as a mentor, that you learn more from the kids that the kids learn through you. And that's for sure a thing that has especially seen with Robonáticos. That's one of the things that I always tell them, like, I have learned more from you than you from me. And it's true, yeah. I've learned how they work, especially because they're from another country. I learned how they handle the things very differently as we do in Mexico, because even though we're Latinos, like people tend to think that we are like the same, but we're not the same. Even in Mexico, I have had lots of fights with teams from the northern part of Mexico because I'm in the center of Mexico, and we tend to have like a cultural, idiomatic, even gastronomical fight between us. So it's always, as a mentor, you need to be curious, you need to be open-minded, and you need to be open on everything, because you do not know everything. You're always learning, and that's one of the things for sure. And for the students or the alumni, is like you always keep dreaming, because your ideas, your projects can be made one day. Like you need to work for them. It's not like someday magically your work is going to appear at your bedroom and it's like, okay, yeah, I made a project from the day to the night, and that way we're going to win an impact or an engineer. No, it's a thing that takes hard work, and always keeps on working so hard to achieve your dreams. I always have a quote that says, work so hard that your 5-year-old version thinks you're the best. Like imagine your 5-year-old seeing you now. That 5-year-old kiddo needs to see you like, wow, you're my hero. Like you need to be your own hero.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. Well, do you have any closing remarks?
Well, I would say that it's always a pleasure to talk with the FRC community, and I would like to say thank you for the invitation. Like I know, well, yeah, it's just like thank you, for thinking of me as an important part of the FRC community, or probably as I don't know, like a friend. And it's really good to have friends in Turkey. I think that's the correct pronunciation. I always miss it in English because in Spanish it's totally different. So yeah, I'm glad to having friends over there, and especially having friends of a really great team. that he has been one of my role models, especially in the part of social work in a kind of way. But yeah, it's always great to have these inspiring people invite me to talk with it. So thank you very much.
And we're surely glad to have you. Thank you so much for coming. Well, and to our listeners, thank you for listening, and see you again in a future episode.